You won't believe what happened next. A skinny kid from the Bronx fired off a two-syllable catchphrase that rocketed him into American pop culture and then locked him inside it. The line made crowds roar, opened every door, and, somehow, shut them too. And the man at the center of it all? Jimmie Walker. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the legend behind Dy-no-mite and the price he paid for saying it. He wasn't born with a spotlight on him. Jimmie Walker came into the world on the 25th of June, 1947, in Brooklyn. But he grew up in the Bronx, the gritty, unforgiving Bronx of the 1,950 seconds. His mom, Lena, held the family together with pure hustle. His dad's absence left a quiet hole that never really closed. Money was tight, respect was tighter, and trouble lurked on every corner. In a neighborhood where a lot of boys slipped into gangs, Jimmie chose a different weapon: laughter. If he could make you laugh, even for a second, the tension in the room let go. It was survival by punchline. Radio gave him his first real stage: a mic, a voice, and a handful of jokes. Suddenly, this lanky kid could reach more people in 10 minutes than he ever had on any block. That taste of connection pushed him toward the most brutal arena of all: stand-up. Clubs in New York didn't coddle anyone. If you bombed, you knew it. But Jimmie Walker turned every awkward inch of himself into material poverty, nerves, his rail-thin frame, and somehow, the crowd leaned in. He wasn't slick, he was real, and real kills. Then came the call that changed everything. A new sitcom about a working-class black family needed fresh faces. Enter Norman Lear, the visionary producer who wanted stories that reflected real life. Funny, sharp, sometimes painfully honest. In 1974, Jimmie Walker was cast as J.J. Evans, a string bean dreamer with a sketchpad, a goofy strut, and a heart that stayed hopeful even when the rent didn't. Nobody predicted what would happen next. The first time, J. Evans punched the air and yelled, "Dy-no-mite!" The studio cracked up, and America followed. The line was supposed to be a throwaway. Instead, it became a tidal wave. Kids yelled it on playgrounds. Office workers said it at the water cooler. It turned into a cultural echo you could hear everywhere. And as that echo bounced around the country, Jimmie Walker went from promising comic to certified phenomenon. Paychecks swelled, tours sold out. He'd step on stage, grin, and the room was already halfway to standing, waiting for the magic words. But here's where the bright light cast a long shadow. On screen, the Evans household looked tight, as a drum, mom, dad, kids, love, friction, all of it. Off-screen, things were colder. The cast wasn't a family after cut. They were co-workers who lived very different lives. And as J.J. exploded, tension simmered. Two towering talents at the core of the show, Esther Rolle, Florida Evans, and John Amos, James Evans Sr., believed fiercely in portraying the dignity and battles of a black family trying to make it. They wanted jokes, sure, but never at the expense of the message. To them, the rising tide of catchphrase comedy felt like a drift away from the mission. Each week, that Dy-no-mite drew bigger laughs. Esther Rolle and John Amos worried the show's spine was bending toward cheap gags. Conversations with writers got heated. A few meetings blew up. The more the audience demanded J.J., the more the set felt split. Eventually, things snapped. John Amos, the show's steady, steel-backboned father, was written out after a bitter standoff. Not long after, Esther Rolle stepped away too. The family America loved lost its parents, and the kid in the center of it all felt the chill most. He knew the smiles during taping didn't travel home with anyone. And Jimmie Walker? He later admitted what fans never saw. They weren't close off camera. No late-night hangs, no Sunday dinners. It wasn't war. It was distance. He was the face the audience adored, and the guy who went back to a quiet room when the applause ended. That quiet followed him into his private life. Jimmie Walker never married. No kids. He said it plainly more than once. Marriage wasn't for him. Freedom mattered. And yet, the older he got, the more that freedom looked a lot like solitude. It's a strange irony being the national symbol of a warm, resilient TV family and then choosing a life with no family of your own. The industry can be just as unforgiving as the neighborhood he grew up in. When the show ended in 1979, the path looked obvious. Launch into movies, headline a new series, ride the wave. But Hollywood had glued J.J. Evans to Jimmie Walker so tightly that everything else blurred. Casting directors saw the walk, the grin, the pose, and heard the line. He did get guest roles, some memorable, some blink, and you'll miss them. But the door to a second act as a leading man never swung wide. On the road, stand-up remained his home base. The bittersweet twist? Crowds often came for one moment. You could crush for 40 minutes, and still they'd wait, grinning, for 2 syllables. If he said them, they roared. If he didn't, they felt cheated. That's the trap of a catchphrase. It gives you everything. Then it owns you. And the hits didn't just come from show business. Jimmie Walker's political views set him apart from much of the entertainment world and from many fans who once saw him as their reflection on TV. He spoke his mind, took heat for it, and didn't walk it back. Agree or disagree, the result was the same. More distance, fewer invitations. A man increasingly out of step with the rooms he once commanded. People assume someone that famous must be swimming in money forever. But fame isn't a savings account. Without the right moves, producing, investing, building your own machines, TV paychecks can fade fast. By most accounts, Jimmie Walker landed in that middle space. Not broke, not balling out, just okay. Comfortable enough to keep going, not enough to vanish into retirement. So, he kept going. If you strip away the noise, you're left with a story that's bigger than one man. It's about what fame gives and what it takes. It's about how audiences can love you so loudly that they stop hearing anything else you say. It's about a performer who climbed out of the hardest circumstances with nothing but timing and heart and paid for that victory by living inside a character the world refused to let go. And yet, there's grace in it. The laughs were real. The joy was real. Jimmie Walker didn't fake the connection he made with millions of people. He earned it, one joke at a time. Maybe he never escaped J.J. Evans. Maybe nobody could. But that character made history, and the man who played him is still here, still standing, still talking, still chasing the clean hit of a great laugh. In a way, that's the truest thing about comics. The stage is home, and home is where you keep going back. So here's my question to you. Where were you the first time you heard Dy-no-mite? Did it crack your whole house up? Did you shout it at school the next day? Drop your memory in the comments. I want to read every single one. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, tap like, smash subscribe, and share it with a friend who knows every line by heart. And hey, if you're curious,